well, how could I ever do anything again? And I realized I could never work for someone, but that I could give myself a chance. So I started something.
We're all about turning a crappy situation into something positive.
$250,000 of credit card
I
debt.
still remember the day when no one turned up.
Throw it in the garbage and start from scratch.
I could give myself a chance. So I started something.
I mean, I think that counts as from poop to gold.
Hi, guys. Welcome back to From Poop to Gold. I'm Daniel Harmon, Chief Creative Officer at Harmon Brothers.
I'm Benton Crane, CEO at Harmon Brothers. Nice to be back.
And our guest today is Rachel Farnsworth.
Hello.
Welcome, Rachel. Rachel is, well, she has the Facebook page, The Stay-at-Home Chef.
Correct.
Which has millions of followers.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say that.
Yeah.
You have some other food pages, right?
Yes, I do. I have
Cooking,
a
food.
Facebook. Well, I have a lot of pages.
Yeah. Your top ones.
I would say my active ones, The Stay-at-Home Chef, and then on Facebook Watch, I have the page Recipes.
Recipes, yes.
Those are my two flagship pages.
I've been following these pages now for months, and I get hungry every single time something pops up. Okay, so Rachel, if you could give our audience a little bit of your backstory, what you were doing prior to the Stay-at-Home Chef and before kind of making it big, as everyone would think of it, right?
So I was actually a social worker for a while and worked in human resources for a big corporation. And then I became a stay-at-home mom. And this was back in 2008. And I didn't know quite what to do all day. And so I did stuff for me. And at the time, people had these little blogs that they kept with like their families and stuff. And well, I was doing a whole bunch of recipe development. And so I started putting recipes on a blog. I thought, oh, hey, I could just put it on a blog and then you can easily find it. But then when I had my second child, when I was pregnant with her, I had a heart, liver, and kidney failure. And they didn't know what was wrong with me, and it took them a long time to figure out that I had Addison's disease. And so
which is an autoimmune disorder.
It's an autoimmune disease. Mm-hmm. It's rare, but it left me permanently disabled. And it kind of left me wondering what my place was. And like, could I ever have value? Could I ever be productive? Could I ever even have a job? Those were questions that ran through my mind a lot. I can't have any more children. And so I thought, well, I got 18 years and then I'm just going to be bored. What am I going to do with myself? I'll still be so young. And so I just started thinking, well, maybe I can take this little blog and turn it into something. And so I did everything wrong. Instead of keeping the brand that I'd already started building for myself, I changed names and started a new website and did everything the wrong way. That's not how I'd recommend doing that. But I started this little blog called The Stay-at-Home Chef. And when I started it, my husband said, video is the future of the internet.
Now, I know this could potentially be a sensitive subject, and so if it is, just let us know. But could you talk a little bit more? You mentioned that it kind of left you with a disability. Now, we don't perceive that at all when we interact with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I look young and healthy, and but on the inside, I have much more in common with an 80-year-old woman. So wow. I have permanent damage to my heart. I have permanent damage to my kidneys, permanent damage to my liver, in addition to Addison's disease, which affects my ability to deal with stress. So even just, oh, hey, I'm so stressed out, as well as it's cold outside. That's also stress on your body. In fact, that kind of stress affects me a lot more than the emotional stress. And I'm also one of the rare people with Addison's disease that I also don't produce adrenaline. Oh. So that makes...
so you have to supplement.
Well, so I don't.
Okay.
Because you don't really know when you're going to need those bursts of adrenaline.
Okay. Uh-huh.
My body just kind of shuts down. So that's real funny. I pass out a lot. It actually ends up being funny. Oh, I probably pass out at least once a week.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Can you sense it's coming, or have you had some nasty falls as a result of it?
So a lot of times I pass out because you need adrenaline. I get in a situation where I get scared. Something happens, get in a near miss in the car, and as a passenger, For some reason, that's way more scary than when you're in the driver. Oh,
Sure.
I'm in control. But if you're the passenger and your
like,
life is at
feel out of
stake
control,
here,
right?
yeah, it feels out of control. It scares me. So instead of like responding with, fight or flight, I just have nothing and
calm.
I just pass out. So
Wow.
usually I'm like, oh no, because I know the scare happened. I react.
So if you're on your feet when the scare happens, can you tell that it's coming?
Yeah,
You drop to your knees?
I try to at least grab someone near me that can help me, or just kind of let myself and brace myself for a good fall. So I only get hurt every once in a while. Most of the situations end up being fairly funny at this point. It's so normal that it just happens. So
as that reality kind of set in your life, you mentioned that you kind of came to this crossroads where you realized you needed to find something.
Yeah.
What did that feel like? What was that experience like?
It's really difficult. I think the really humbling parts for me were when I realized I needed to have a walker and a cane and use those. And I do use those on occasion still. If I go to Disneyland or something, that's way too hard for me. I have to use a wheelchair, and those are very humbling experiences. It's really humbling for people to give you the up and down, and it happens to me a lot. If I'm using a walker, if I'm using a cane, they give me the double take, look up and down, and you can see it. Like, you look fine.
Yeah.
Stop stealing the wheelchairs. They're for disabled people. I'm like, yeah, I know. I look super healthy. But then I can also easily turn into an 80-year-old woman where I can't walk. I can't function. And I really felt helpless. It's hard to be a mom with a disability. There's just days where I'm bedridden, and how do you take care of children that way? And so it just left me with so many questions and so much doubt for myself. Like, what could I even do? Could I do anything? I'm fairly certain I could never have a traditional job. I'd get fired before I could ever be protected for my disability. Because I wouldn't be able to get to work on time. I'd take too much time off. These are real issues that a lot of people face, and it's a really humbling experience to wonder, well, how could I ever do anything again? And I realized I could never work for someone, but that I could give myself a chance. So I started something.
The stay-at-home chef.
The stay-at-home chef.
That's awesome. And now it is like a food media empire.
It is. We've turned into this media empire, which is cool, but mostly, that's kind of recent.
That is true. Well, let's talk a little bit about that. Like, how long did that struggle last to where it's started to pay in dividends?
Well, I started with real-time cooking videos with science. So it started off really bad. I just needed a long time to learn. The learning curve was very steep for me, and I'm disabled, so it was really hard to hike up the hill there or something. I don't know. Mostly it was just me. That I didn't get it. I didn't get what people wanted, and I don't have a natural eye for photography. I don't have a natural eye for videography. So I had to learn this all the hard way. And but eventually I saw an opportunity on Facebook with video. BuzzFeed Tasty had launched their Tasty page in June of 2015.
Which I used to follow.
July of 2015. And summer 2015, they launched it as an experiment.
Yeah.
And I saw what they were doing, and I already had tons of videos that I'd been putting up on YouTube. And so I started doing just hands only, but I realized I'd already been doing that. I'd already been making these hands only cooking videos for a while. I didn't see the potential to turn them into entertainment until Tasty came along. So 6 months later, as they're just exploding on Facebook, I start producing videos for other people.
Yeah.
For other food bloggers, people who were doing really well, and they let me experiment on their pages with their recipes. So I started making all these videos, and they failed too.
Okay.
It took me several months before the summer of then 2016, so Tasty is a year old. My videos started exploding. These videos that I made for other people, they just insanely viral, instantly. I couldn't make enough for people to be satiated. Everybody wanted me to make a video for them. And because it felt like it was magic, that it just, everything that you put up went viral, just everything. And then started learning that the content actually did matter. And not everything went viral because like some videos will just never.
Yeah.
People on Facebook aren't interested in some elaborate cooking, we'll say. Some food is just super not entertaining.
Yeah, it's super involved.
Yeah. It's just, you see it and go, well, I could never do that. So there's a lot of learning.
It loses some relatability for them, right?
Yeah. They just are like, well, I'm never going to make that. Why would I spend $50 to make oatmeal? I'm not going to do that. Like, okay. I see there's content mattered.
What about people's familiarity around particular types of food? If you do something that's non-traditional, does that tend to do better or worse in terms of view counts?
So kind of both. Super traditional ones that everyone can relate to that their grandma made will either spike people's interest of just, I love that dish. I'm going to make that again. Nostalgia kind of things. Or it'll make them super angry. And they let me know that their grandma did not make it that way, or that their mom didn't make it that way. And how dare I do that? How dare I call that a taco? Like, how is it not? Just a lot of these things. But those tend to do well. Anything that incites emotion, food is just surprisingly negative.
So 2017 is where you kind of turn the corner, and all of a sudden your videos are going viral.
Yes.
So from the outside looking in, people are probably thinking, wow, overnight success, Rachel Farnsworth, that's amazing. But of course, you're giving us a behind the scenes look that overnight success actually took how many years? 4 years.
4 years. So I had my first viral video that I produced for myself in October of 2016.
So late 2017 or 16.
Late in 2016, and then went from 57,000 followers to 1 million followers. What looked like overnight.
Yeah.
So, but it was really 4 years.
Right.
Yep.
So it's interesting because as an ad agency, most of the big ad agencies are in New York, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, right? The big cities. And so initially, early in our history, we were kind of like, well, hopefully we can succeed in spite of being in Provo, Utah, little old Provo, Utah, right? And it wasn't until several years later that somebody pointed out to us that being in Provo gave us a different perspective than what other agencies tend to have. And that was the first time that we looked at each other and we were like, wow, maybe we're succeeding, at least in part, because of this quote unquote disadvantage that we thought we were facing. So my question for you, Rachel, given all that you've faced along the way, do you see your success more as in spite of all that you've faced, or largely because of all that you've faced?
So I like to phrase it as I do it to spite my disability.
Okay.
It's not in spite of my disability. It is to spite my disability.
I like it.
It drives me. It really does. And it pushes me to do things and be a little more risky. Be willing to take the risks and start investing money in video. When people used to tell me that I was wasting my time, that food video on Facebook, like that'll ever be a thing, or I don't need to do that. And I got told so many times, you're wasting your time. I'm like, that video though that I just made for this person has 50 million views. You think I'm wasting my time. So, yeah, it's been interesting because now all those people do video.
That's awesome.
So you have to be willing to take the risk, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like my disability actually makes me more prone to taking it, just risking it all, because why not?
Yeah. You wouldn't be here if having not gone through that, right?
Yeah, and I really struggle with my health, and I don't know that I'll ever live to be old. That would be really surprising. If I live to be like an old woman. And so I am very aware of my limited time, and that there's always that clock ticking, and it really, in reality, it's that same way for everyone.
Yeah.
But I'm just more aware of it. And so it just makes me really go all in. Like I go all in on being a mom. I go all in on being a business owner, I go all in on everything because why not?
Mm-hmm.
I hope that the inspiration that like we feel sitting here next to you, I hope that transmits through the camera and through the audio.
I'm just me.
But you are so full of passion and life and energy that just exudes, and it's really a privilege to be here and to talk to you. And I hope that transmits to our audience as well.
Well, thanks. As my cheeks start to burn.
Let me ask a follow-up question. For a lot of our audience, I think they would be very interested in the way to build a Facebook watch page. What would be 3 strategies that you would say are kind of like
essential?
Yeah, essential for doing this.
So Facebook Watch is a bit of a different platform. And if you're going to build Facebook Watch, it is a great place to be. It is this, I feel like it's this secret gold mine that people are standing outside too scared to go in, but everybody that goes in is like, yeah, just let them think that because this is great. But we don't need anybody else to come in. But there's just this endless gold mine, I feel like, on Facebook Watch right now. But not everyone, it's not a magic wand.
Yeah, okay.
It's just not. But those who get it and launch can do amazing things. And I've seen this happen in so many different people that I've talked into doing this Facebook Watch thing.
Yeah.
That they're like, once they get it, it's just this great place to be. So if you're going to go into Facebook Watch, number 1, learn everything you can about Facebook. So you just understand how regular Facebook works, what their current goals are for the platform. And then you take that knowledge with a bunch of really strong content. And if you come out of the gate strong on Facebook Watch, you will succeed in so many ways. Come out of the gate swinging. If you're going to go in, go all in.
So there's 1, 2 other things.
So come out of the gate swinging. Make sure you're uploading frequently.
Okay.
This is not a platform where...
How frequently?
Daily.
Okay, daily.
Upload daily.
Especially out of the gate.
Yes,
like,
especially out of the gate.
Okay.
But this is a different sort of platform. It's not going to be, you can't get away with releasing one great thing a month.
Yeah.
Really, the algorithm is looking at a 30-day history for you. So keep your 30-day history strong, be consistent. If you don't have enough content, you can always share others who are within that same sphere that hit the same target audience that enhance your content, that make sure it enhances.
Okay.
So,
essentially, if you can't originate all the content, then curate some to supplement. Okay.
Yes,
That's
curate it. There's no issue with doing that on Facebook. It won't dilute your brand. You're going to be okay. Facebook is a much more collaborative platform, and people aren't necessarily going to be visiting your page feed and seeing misplaced brands. This is about sharing what you like and being communal. It won't dilute your brand at all. And I know a lot of people worry about that.
Okay.
It won't. It will only help you build by feeding your audience.
Yeah.
You really got to feed your audience there and give them a consumption rate. I mean, that Facebook news feed is endless scrolling. There's endless consumption opportunities there. You have to keep feeding that machine.
Okay. And then a third. I'm really pushing you here.
Don't be afraid to experiment and don't give up during the ebbs versus the flows. I think that's the mistake that I see people happen. It happens all the time. People give up at the slightest pushback.
Okay.
And the algorithm is designed in such a way that there is always going to be pushback. Every 3 months, Facebook does a major release. I can show it to you in my analytics. I don't have to know that knowledge. I can see it in the data. That every 3 months there's a release, and that majorly impacts the algorithm. If you give up at the slightest sign of pushback, you will never succeed. Okay. And most things in life, don't give up as soon as you face resistance. That's when things can get really good.
Continue to experiment.
Yeah, just experiment, push the lines, see what you can do.
That's fantastic. Before we wrap up, do you have anything that is coming down the pipeline that you would like our listeners to keep an eye out for?
You should keep your eye out for Brain Benders.
Brain Benders.
Brain Benders?
Yes, that will
Okay.
be our new show on Facebook Watch.
Okay.
It is not food
I was
related
going
at
to
all.
ask if it was food related. It is
No,
not.
it's more
It's like,
science.
is it all about omega-3s?
I mean, we've done a little bit of food content
Okay.
that we have ready for release because once again, we're going to come out of the gate strong here. But it's more educational science learning, appealing to all ages, but especially adults who just want to keep their brains active. So
Awesome. Brain Benders, cool.
And where can our listeners learn more about you?
about me, you can visit thestayatHomeChef.com.
Rachel, we have a gift for you.
Oh, thank you.
This is our book. It was authored by Chris Jones, who followed us around for 3 years, like a fly on the wall. Well, we're excited to give you a copy, and there's also a little gift bag there with some goodies from our clients.
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, guys, that's it with Rachel Farnsworth. Again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for allowing us into your studio. Remember to like, to subscribe, follow, comment, all that good stuff, share, and we'll see you on the next one.